This is Optometrists Building Empires, and I'm your host, Ankit Patel. Each week, we'll explore the journey of practice ownership and leadership in optometry. Join us for insights and strategies from the top minds in our field. This show is sponsored by My Business Care Team. My Business Care Team helps your office increase revenues, reduce costs, and reduce staffing headaches. Let's build your empire together. Today's guest is Dr. Nick Lillie. He's the owner and founder of Family Vision Optical and Rejuvenation Dry Eye Center in Allendale, Michigan. He's also the host of the weekly podcast Optometry, the Ultimate OD. Dr. Lillie started his practice cold start right out of school in 2011, and he's built a multi-associate team with a specialty in dry eye, and he's passionate about sharing his journey and mentoring other ODs along the way. Nick, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's a cool story. And not many people do the cold start route as much anymore. So let's jump into the first question of what was the most important thing that helped you grow your empire?
The most important thing that I've realized probably in the last 2 years was my biggest obstacle was myself. I was in my own way. I was the bottleneck. And once I realized that, things have taken off. We've more than doubled our revenue, incredible growth. Things are going so much better because I got out of my own way.
Yeah. And so tell me a little bit more about that. Like, can you give a specific example where maybe you had a transformation, you realized, okay, I gotta get out of my way. Tell me a decision that you made after you made the decision to get out of the way that you wouldn't have made otherwise. So I know that sounds confusing. Hopefully that makes sense.
No, absolutely. So put it this way, when we start a practice, most optometrists, when they do, they start by themselves. And everything flows through them. They make all the decisions. They're the end-all be-all of patient care. They are the person. And you get it in your head that the patients only will see you, or you're the only person that can make the decision. And in those early days, I didn't have a lot of people beating down my door. So every patient meant so much to me. And I wouldn't let anyone else take the lead on it. I wanted to be, full control. And you can only get so far when all you do is depend on yourself. So the realization I had was that I wasn't that special. That if you have the right systems, if you have the right team, that they can solve problems. They can see patients, and patients will trust the brand. They'll trust you. And I have patients that I've seen for probably like 10 years. And when I brought in my first associate, the biggest compliment I got was they still drove like an hour to see us, but they see my associate. And that's because they trusted the brand that we've built. And that was my realization that it's not me that's special. It's the environment. It's the system and the culture that we created. And that's a big picture of me getting out of my own way. It's trusting that we've built something that can scale beyond me.
That's a great, man, that must have been a lot of emotions going through that. I was like, wait, I love the fact they came here without me, but they came here without me. Yeah, how did that feel?
Yeah, well, there's this thing that happens when you go from optometry school to you're a doctor. It's that identity shift. Because when you're an optometry student, you get A's, you get B's, you get C's. You know instantly if you did good or bad. When you start your own practice, did I do good or did I do bad today? And then you're looking for markers. So, well, if they bought from me, then I did good. Well, that's a closed cycle. That's not going to get you very far because there's a lot of variables that go into it, and you're not a good doctor just because they bought from you. Well, if my schedule is full, I'm a good doctor. I'm a successful person. Also not a good barometer. And you're looking for a way to just get feedback, get self-worth. And then you keep expanding. And now that I'm, two associates in, well, if I'm not Dr. Lillie seeing patients, who am I? What do I do go from there? And I've got so much enjoyment and satisfaction out of mentoring my associates, sharing what I've learned over the past 15 years and helping them get to where I'm at now and in a fraction of the time. And that's my new identity. But it's hard because I look at the schedule and I still fight with myself. If I'm not seeing like X amount of patients a day, do I still have self-worth? Like, am I still a successful person? And it's realizing that you define success in a lot of different ways. It doesn't have to be from clinical care.
That's a gold right there. I don't know if people heard that. So let's talk a little bit about the challenge around that self-identity and changing. So what did you run into as you were growing, transforming your identity, maybe somewhere else? Like, what did you run into that you didn't expect?
Yeah. So a big thing, if you listen to me talk over the past year in my podcast and in my writing and such, is becoming the CEO of your practice. And this is something that I've heard for a decade, man. And everyone's like, be the CEO of your practice. And the question I asked was, what does that mean? You can, there's no playbook. What does it mean to be the CEO? And what I've realized over time is CEOs are constantly getting people to believe in the vision. You're constantly giving them that elevator pitch. And in 30 seconds to a minute, you can get people to want to follow you because you know where you're going to go. You're going to build something great. And it's getting people to believe in that. And what our most valuable time is as the CEO of our practice isn't necessarily seeing patients. It's not doing things. It's literally taking the time to think. Where do I want to go? What problems do I want to solve? How can we be better? And when I went from seeing like 80 patients a day, I wish 80 patients a week, to cutting my schedule in half, I had this block of time and I'm like, I don't know what I do with that. And I felt guilty if I wasn't like working on something or actively doing something. A year and a half later, I cherish the time when I have that time to think. And in the early days, what would happen is I go to a conference, I go to like Vision Optical West or whatnot, and I come back with a million ideas. And I used to think it was the conference that would give you the juice, the energy. But what I realized was it was just being away from the daily grind. To pull yourself out from there. And what I do now is on Fridays, I don't come into the office. We close at noon. So I'm not here 9 to noon, and I'll come in when everyone leaves. And I get the same juice, the same energy, because I'm not distracted. And I can think about the business, think about the big picture of who I want to develop. How do we get better at X, Y, and Z? And it's taking the time to literally think about your business and what you want to do and making sure it aligns with your vision. That was the biggest and hardest thing to realize, because everything we've done before is you work really hard, you get a result. You work really hard, you get a result. Now it's you think really hard and then you make some changes. You have a direction, you have a vision that you want to go. And that's completely different than anything we've ever done up to this point in our careers.
That's I like the framing that you said there, because it's a very different mindset and framing. And I don't know if people hear that a lot, right? So you're absolutely right. The identity shift needs to happen, as well as your time allocation. So what made you decide to want to do this? Like, what drove you to that insight of I need to change my identity? Like, how'd that come about?
The thing that I wanted to do when I got into this, and I think every private practice owner wants, is they want to have a business. But what you realize when you're a solo practitioner, you're trading time for money, right? If I don't work, we don't eat. And I have 4 kids, 10, 8, 6, and 4. And as I got my spouse and then started having kids, I realized that I did not want to be in the business every single day. When I'd go on vacation, if I wasn't there, I'd still be getting calls from the office. Hey, Mrs. Jones has a infection. What do you want us to do? And I could never get away from that. And I had an instance where one of my daughters was born and had some issues. She's great now, but for 30 days, we were in the hospital and I had 3 kids. And I had to go to the hospital, spend the night there, but then come back and work because we had to pay for things. And I never wanted to do that again. I wanted to be able to have a business where I'm not there and it still makes money. So that was the realization that I wanted more out of my business than just a really good high-paying job with, albeit a lot of freedom, but it couldn't make money without me there. That was a good job. I wanted a business. And that's what I made that shift of, how do I get a business? And you read, you listen to podcasts such as yours, you talk to people that have walked the journey that I'm on, and you realize your value is so much more important outside of the exam room. And it's hard for me to realize that. It was hard for me to grasp that. But I've doubled my practice and I'm seeing less patients. Right? It really works. But that's the magic in being the CEO of your practice.
like it. And let's talk a little bit more about that journey, because it's I always hear these stories about entrepreneurs and everyone does it well. It's like you look back and it's hindsight is 2020. It looks like rose-colored glasses. Tell me a little bit more when there was things that happened that were tough, that struggled, that made you want to go back to no, I just need to take it back over. How did you talk about a situation like that and how you kind of work through that?
And that happens still on a daily basis because when we design the practice, you think about all your strengths and none of your weaknesses, right? And everything is designed to flow to everything you have. Well, when I hired my associate in 2024 October, she came into the office and I'm like, let's see what we got here. And she struggled a little bit. She wasn't successful. And my wife, we were having a conversation. She goes, that just shows how good you are. And I go, I see it completely opposite. It shows that I haven't created a really good business. I have a very good job, but if I can't plug and play another doctor in, then it's all dependent on me. So I had to break down everything and develop systems that actually supported her, that created an environment that allowed her to succeed. And we've done that. But the hard part was I had just moved into a 3,500 square foot office. I doubled my staff. I added an associate, and I was trying to down schedule my schedule. Well, I'm seeing less patients, and my associate isn't producing at the same level as me. So there's times when you're not going to get like I'm glad I have savings because I'm not getting a paycheck this week because we have to pay for the overhead. We have to pay for this, and that's a tough pill to swallow. You look yourself in the mirror and be like, one, am I able to do this? And two, did I make a really big mistake thinking that this new space was going to be where I wanted to be? Now I figured it out and I got there, but those are things that you look at like, was this worth it? And even looking fast forward a year and a half where both her and myself are over like $600 revenue per patient. Like we've really doubled where we're at. I hired a new graduate fresh out of school, and he is valedictorian, smart, great, ambitious. But I looked at myself, and as I'm trying to teach him how to connect with a patient, how to do a handoff, how to do all these things, I said to myself, did I really just make my life harder? Why did I do this? We had a really good thing. Was it worth it? But 3 weeks in and he's starting to figure it out and get traction, and you realize that, okay, it is there. It was the right move. It just, you have to go through that difficult path to get there. And the best way to describe it is failure and success are on the same road. Failure just has an earlier exit. So you're going to be going the same way for a little bit of time. You just have to see it through. And that's where a lot of people quit because it gets hard. You get pushed back. It's difficult. And you're like, forget this. I'm going to just go back to the way we used to do it.
Okay.
But if you see it through, you'll have that growth. And those are just things that happen on a daily basis when you try to make a change, when you try to grow.
And anything you did to self-manage your emotions around that, like regulate, exercise, meditate, anything like that, that might be, if someone's like, well, how do I really, because the emotional side is really the hard part of that, right?
Absolutely.
So how do you work through that part?
Funny that you asked that question, because my associate, when my new one that just hired, he went from being a student to now he's, bless his heart, he's about to get married. He just got his first job, and his fiance is a fourth year optometry student. So there's a lot of change going on in his life right now. And he's like, tell the truth, man, I'm a little overwhelmed. And I said, this is what I do every Sunday night. I look at my week and I plan the week out. So I look at what I want to do. And it's not that I'm going to stick to that religiously, but you can only adapt if you have a plan to adapt from. So I look at what I want to accomplish in the week, and I'll kind of outline that. And then as I go on a daily basis, before I go to bed on Sunday, before I go to Monday, there's 3 wins I always try to pick out. Number 1, I always try to work out. I'm going to get that. And I work out at 6 a.m. in the morning. So I wake up, I get my workout in. I already have 1 win for the day. I've started off really stinking good. And then I'll have something that involves my family. Like I'm going to hang out with the kids, or I'm going to make dinner, or me and my wife are going to have dinner tonight. So there's always a family-oriented one. And then there's a big thing at the office. And if I get 2 out of 3, I've done good. Some days I get 1. I get that workout in. But I'm always getting wins, and then I can reevaluate. Do I need to change my focus for what I want to do the next day? So it's planning and giving yourself permission to adapt, But when you have no plan, everything is pulling at you, and it really can stress you out. So kind of like just seeing the roadmap ahead, even if you're going to adapt or change, put peace on my heart. Give me a maybe a false sense of control, but at least I know what I'm going to do going forward.
Hmm, I like that. And I like how you said it's not like I have to get 20 things done. It was like three, right? And just set the
Hmm.
bar like something achievable so you get momentum. I like that. Cool. So, how do you? Let's talk a little bit about tactical challenges that you might be facing. Uh, are you facing staffing shortages and challenges or reimbursement issues? And if you are, how are you dealing with them?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that we're dealing with is our our staff. So staffing is always the biggest headache, right? And when I sat down and I had a meeting with my office manager today, we have weekly one-on-ones. And I asked her, what do you think the biggest challenge is to us growing, to us scaling and starting another office? And she thought about it and she's like, well, doctors, when I go, it's having the talent around us to grow. We need talented people. If I'm not here or you're not here, do we still continue to operate at the same level a month later? Like pull us out for a month. We can make it a week, we can make it, 2 weeks, but after a month, do we still have the culture? Do we still have the systems? And invariably, right now, we don't. And I said, you can have all the SOPs written out, you can have all this, but if we're not executing that, that's the issue. So what we're trying to do now is hire the most talented staff we possibly can. The challenge with that is the more talented people are, the more freedom they want.
Hmm.
And if you're a first time manager or me hiring doctors, I want the best doctors possible, but that's a different level of communication. That's a early on my staff, this is what I said, do it, don't ask me questions. The more talent you have, how can I make you be better? What do you need? This is our system. These are the guardrails to stay within, but I'll let you go within those guardrails. I don't care if it's this way or that way, just don't go outside these lines. So getting staff that is very talented but believes in the vision, believes in your culture, that's definitely been a challenge to hire.
Yeah. I hear that consistently across the board is finding someone with the right culture. I don't know. Are you finding it is more, is there a secret sauce to that for you? You certain questions you ask in the interview process? How do you kind of suss that out? Because it's even worse if you hire someone and you made a mistake. That gets more expensive.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we've done is be intentional with our culture. So we have our core values and we go over those constantly with our staff. And we're looking for reasons to call out a core value. Like, hey, you represented us with timeliness, or your team effort was there, right? And when we interview a staff member, we will go over the core values. This is what we are, what we stand for, how we operate. And people I feel like need to be reminded more than they need to be taught. So once we have the core values, uh, we essentially every quarter we have meetings once a month, all hands on deck. One of those meetings will quarter will be about our core values, what we're doing, how we are representing those, and we have office meetings where hey, this is a core value that we had. We didn't represent our value in this way. So we'll call it out. So being very intentional about what we believe in, how we do it, and then calling out the behavior we want to keep seeing. Uh, and then not being, we're being completely transparent when we see something that doesn't align. Like, hey, this doesn't work. We're going to fix this or it's not going to work out. And you can pursue excellence elsewhere, but being quick to just address it whenever we see the good or the bad.
Okay. I like that. And as far as let's talk about like culture building, team building. I want to get a sense for how you do that because you've kind of hinted it a couple of times that's sort of the job as a CEO of like building that environment, building that vision. What are you doing to do that and drive that, and what can others learn from that?
So we do everything with intentionality. One of the things that I do on a weekly basis is Friday, I will email, or Sunday night, I try to do it Friday, but Sunday nights, I get out my leadership email. So my office manager and my marketing manager, I send out an email reviewing our week, the wins and losses, our KPIs, any questions I have as a CEO, problems that we need to solve, and then agenda items that they need to be aware of. And then on Mondays, I meet with we have a morning huddle every single week, or every single day with the doctor schedules, what we want to see, anything that they bought in the past, etc. And then on Mondays, I'll meet with all my technicians. We have a department meeting, go over kind of game plan, things that we need to be better at, what's going on there. Tuesdays, we'll go over optical meeting. So I meet with all my opticians, go over all the things that we want to go for the week, their scorecard numbers. Um, and the scorecard is something that we have that outlines our KPIs that we track. So our exam onlys, our pre-appointment rate, farming. So that's where a staff member will make a call and make multiple appointments for a patient. So all the things that matter, we get that when they come in every Monday morning. Everyone knows where their scorecard is. They know where all the doctors stand, where we stand as an office, and they know their individual number. We review those at our department meetings, and on Thursdays, I meet with my doctors. So I meet with them as a department meeting. And then weekly, I have a one-on-one meeting with my office manager and the two doctors. The office manager will have a one-on-one meeting weekly with every single staff member. So we are constantly emphasizing the objectives that we want to get done for the quarter, our KPIs that we measure ourselves on, and those core values. So we try to create that culture with constant feedback and giving them a voice to address any of the concerns or issues that they have.
Yeah. And do you follow any kind of procedure or process like EOS or scaling up? Do you do any of that, or is it something you've sort of come up on your own?
Yep. So we really tried to do the EOS traction model, and we always got so far. So that's where a lot of our foundation has been based. Eye Care Boss is something that just recently came out that kind of took EOS and made it for optometry. So we've taken kind of all the things that we like out of those things and made it our own. Uh, so I can't say it's 100%, but if you've done traction or if you've done any of the Eye Care Boss stuff, you're going to look and see, oh, that's where that comes from. That's the level 10 meeting. That's the
Yeah.
weekly scorecard, how we're rating people. So I've tried to take that. I just never could do it fully in depth yet. If I had more time, like as I hired the second associate, that might be something where we fully implement, but it's not 100% true yet.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's always a work in progress, I find.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
so what are you most excited about? And I'll let you kind of answer that how you want, either in terms of the industry or your practice itself. What are you excited about? Or heck, even your podcast, because you see a lot of different people too. Like, tell me something you're excited about.
I love that I now have a vision for where I want to go. I see the potential for either making a super single or scaling and have multiple doors, multiple locations. I love the fact that I'm to the point now where I'm finding my passion, and I love seeing patients. I love patient care. But as I've trained my new associate, I have to justify why I do things, why we do things. It's helped me come up with better systems. But I love primary care not because of the optometry aspect. I love talking to people, just chewing the fat, talking about, what are you doing? What's your plans for life? I'm naturally a curious person. And having my associates, what are your dreams? What do you want to do? How can I help you get there? I love growing and building a business. If I had to see where I want to be in a decade, it's growing a business that I can be proud of, whether that's me being very involved in patient care, the dry eye center, or just running it. I love that potential, and I am finally making moves to have that be my life.
I like that. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit, and I want to talk about what makes Nick tick. It rhymes. But can you tell us a story that was very formative for you? Meaning, it could have been when you were younger, but it's something that you thought like, yeah, you know what, that impacted me, and that kind of affects how I make decisions today, or that affects the person I am today.
100%. So, if you have ever met me, I'm not a big guy. I'm 5'4", probably 140 pounds right now. But I played Division II college football. I was a running back. Okay. So and it was a high level. Like I was at Saginaw Valley State University. When I was there, we had 7 guys go to the NFL. We were ranked #1 in the nation. We were really, really good. And when I was in there, my head football coach said that every spring you have spring football. And he said, your job is to become the best you can. My job is to find someone better. In the fall, we'll see who did a better job. And I did as best I could. I got to a high level. I was on the depth chart. I would get reps and rotation, but I was never going to go pro. And that bothered me because that was my passion. No one liked it more, but they'd have me because I could understand everything, talk to the more talented players and just tell him what to do, but he's going to be the one doing it. Well, when I realized I wasn't going pro, I started getting that same energy and passion for school. So I treated the test like this is my game day. I'm going to prep better than anyone else, and I'm going to get an A. And I'm going to mess up the curve, right? I just wanted to be that good. I'm a highly competitive person, and what I found was I am naturally skilled and been given gifts to be good at school, good at optometry.
Mm.
I didn't have that gift for football, but I got the work ethic. I got the passion. I realized that my favorite part of football season was the off season because you're putting the work, you're getting ready to go. And then when it came season, the time for the season, you see the fruits of your labor. And that's the same thing I do in my life, whether it's still working out or running my business, putting in the work, putting in the effort, the things that no one sees, that everyone wants the outcome, but no one wants to sacrifice to make that happen, right? If you wouldn't trade someone 100% for their life, like, yeah, you see all the good things that they have, but you don't see them staying up pulling all-nighters. You don't see them missing the family events because they're going to, get that system ready to process. I love putting in that time and doing that and then seeing the business run and seeing it grow. That time of failure is what I think about every day because there's someone out there that is like me that said, I'm not going to play football, but I'm going to have a great practice. And I want to be ready when they come up and they're trying to, take a piece of my pie, right? We're going to be ready because we're always going to be advancing and getting better. So that's me as what makes me tick and why I keep driving to be the best I can.
When you told me you played Division II football as a running back at your size, that took me back a little bit. That's impressive. That is really impressive. So
Thank you.
I hope we had a few more pounds on back then. But,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So curious, what advice would you give to your younger self knowing what you know now? Well, and specifically, let's say it's a week after graduating OD school. At that time frame, what advice would you give your younger self?
Thought about that numerous times. And the thing I keep falling back on is I would tell myself to take bigger shots, to take bigger risks, because we get in this mindset of thinking about, well, I could fail or this could happen. The most successful I've ever been, my wife, like taking a shot and asking her like, hey, let's make this happen. In my life with her, starting the practice cold, moving to the bigger office, adding an associate, adding a second associate. When I take big shots, good things have happened. Now you have to look at the pros and cons, but I wish I would have swung bigger in those early days. Like I could have had more offices, but when I first started, I was so insecure. Like I didn't know what I didn't know. And instead of reaching out to my colleagues, my friends, I was very isolated and insular. Now I tell everyone exactly what I do. I'm an open book and I'll tell you exactly how I do it, what I do. I'll talk to anyone and everyone because that's how you grow and learn. It's the execution. I can tell you till I'm blue in the face what I do, but if you can't execute it, it doesn't matter. So I try to collaborate as much as possible. So take bigger shots and collaborate more. That's the two biggest pieces of advice I would have done, and not worry about what other people think because they really aren't thinking about you.
Yeah, it's interesting because that's a theme that I'm hearing is it reminds me of a proverb. I think it's an African proverb. It's something the concept of if you want to go fast, go alone. Yeah. If you want to go far, go together.
Absolutely.
And so I'm hearing that repeated. Like if you want to go far, you're going to need people. You're going to have to step back from your role, identity change. And so
100%. You can only do so much by yourself, man.
You can't you can't take those bigger shots unless you do go together.
Right.
And so you really, you might have big dreams, but if you're going to plan to do it yourself, that seems to be something we're hearing over and over again as almost like, I don't want to say it's a myth, but kind of something that's kind of people assume like, oh, you can pull yourself out of the bootstrap and do it all yourself. Like, no, it doesn't really seem to work that way.
Right.
It's not from success stories that we've seen. So I think that's a really cool insight. So Nick, if people wanted to reach out to you and connect with you, what?
You can email me at Dr. Lillie at therdec.com. We're on all our socials. I also have Dr. Lillie at theultimateod.com. I love to collaborate. So if you have questions, you heard something here that you want to talk about, send me an email. We'll chat and go from there, man. But I love optometry. I love business. Love to collaborate.
Yeah, I love it. And thank you again, Dr. Nick Lillie, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, man. I hope we do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to take that away. Is like, hey, to grow, it requires identity shifts. And so if you're going to want to build an empire, there might be an identity shift that may need to happen to get there.
So. Well, the thing I'll leave you with is to be who you want to be, you have to die of who you are right now. The person you are right now has to die for the new person to be born. And that's a hard thing to let go because you're in a really successful and good spot right now because of everything you've done. And to die there, to kill that, to be something else is really, really stinking tough. But take big shots, man.
I love it. And thank you, audience. If you learned something, laughed, please subscribe to the podcast or YouTube and tell a friend. And if you sign up for at the link in the show notes, I'll send you a free copy of my book, Optometry Redefined. Thank you again, Nick, for being on the show. And this has been another exciting episode of Optometrists Building Empires. We'll see you next time. That's a wrap on another episode of Optometrists Building Empires. Thanks for joining. For show notes and more, visit buildingempires.live. This show is proudly sponsored by My Business Care Team. My Business Care Team was born out of staffing challenges my wife and I faced together, managing multiple optometry locations. We refined our approach at Classic Vision Care and now offer our expertise to others. If you're experiencing challenges with staffing and you'd like to set up a discovery call, we'd be happy to help you and connect you with the right resources. We'll see you next time.